Hello, my name is Andrew White, and I am a graphic designer and illustrator, and I live in Northwest Arkansas. And I'm going to show you a little bit about sketching, keeping it light, keeping the lines very light, and kind of building up from there so that you're kind of always loose. And specifically, I'm going to be creating a character that relates to you all. I'm going to attempt to draw an Erie red devil. So usually start, a lot of comic book people start with a light blue pencil. It's a very specific pencil. I'm just using like a cheap Crayola colored pencil, but that light color helps you keep it light, and when you go back over it with inks, it kind of disappears, and then when you erase, it erases a lot better. It's just a lighter color to start with. So again, it's important to kind of loosen up your wrist beforehand, maybe do some sketches to kind of get loose, and don't just go right into it. But we're going to be drawing a head of a devil today, so I'm going to start with a circle, and all this does is kind of give me a guide to start with about what this head's going to look like, and see how light I'm keeping it. I'm going to draw my center line here. This is the center line for the head. This is going to be where the eye line. I might keep it a little bit lower even. And then I'm going to kind of just go right in. He's going to have an angry expression. Most devils have an angry expression, or intense expression, I should say. So I'm going to keep that horizontal there. This horizontal is going to be much shorter because it's on the side of the face that is farther away from you, right? So still trying to stay very fairly light at this point. And I'm going to go ahead and pull down his face and his jaw. His chin is here. I'm going to go up into his jaw, arc that jaw a little bit, right? This is where the ear is going to live. He's going to have a very thick, intense neck, maybe even thicker like this. Yeah, it's a nice muscle line there. His devils have these pointy ears, right? At least stereotypically, that's what we think. So we're going to throw that ear in there. Again, we're staying very, very light, keeping that ear just above the eye line. I like to go in with a nose at this point. He's going to have a kind of a hook, a very intense, sharp hook nose. And when you're drawing like character illustrations like this, just as few lines as possible to kind of insinuate what's going on with the character. Might make that chin come out a little farther just for exaggeration. And again, because it's a character, we can really exaggerate, right? It's the one thing that photorealism doesn't allow you to do, is exaggerate. But that's what we're going to do here. We're going to make his eyes really big and intense. And this line's very important because it shows that he's grimacing. It's pushing that skin up closer to the eye. Maybe we'll have him looking a little bit down. I don't know. So we're going to set this eye back behind the nose, and that really pushes it far back in space, right? There's kind of an unspoken rule, or a spoken rule, I should say, of when you're drawing these types of characters, when you're drawing at all, is to not have tangential lines. Sorry, I said that wrong, but meaning that you don't want things to just ever so slightly touch. You kind of want them to overlap. That overlap is what gives you that sense of depth, right? So we want this ear to break this line. We don't want it to stop right on that line. We want to break this headline here, because then it gives you the sense that that ear is out in front. It really helps you with that. So I'm going to put a circle here. The other horn would be here. I'm thinking about where I'm going to put these horns at this point. This horn's going to come up here and arc like that. There's a little bit of where the skin and the horn attached to the head right there. Again, we're keeping it very, very light. We're allowed to make mistakes. We're allowed to think through it at this point. Maybe these horns are too big. Maybe we'll decide that the horns are too big later, and we'll want to make them smaller, right? Okay, and we're going to really finish him off with a high, sharp devil collar. All right, these guys really like their sharp colors for some reason. Adds to the evil, I guess. It's gonna have a grimace like I told you with this eye up here, but maybe he's not so intense. Maybe he's a little bit happy. So we're gonna really pull that mouth and jaw way down to exaggerate this idea that he's kind of happy about it. Maybe he's not so mean after all. Misunderstood devil. Okay. So we're pretty much there as far as our foundation goes. Again, this is very light. I probably pushed a little harder than I normally would so that it would show up on camera. But we've got a basic rough sketch there. Started with a circle, kind of pulled that jaw down, exaggerated it out. I'm going to throw in some teeth lines here. On this side of the face, they're going to arc this way. On this side, they're going to arc the other way to kind of show that it's rounding around his face, right? Okay, once I'm done with this light blue pencil, I'll drop to a very fine marker, very, very fine tip marker. And that'll kind of, I'm going to be very confident with my strokes now because I've got my underlaid stroke with the blue pencil, and now I can just kind of follow those lines and be sharp in certain places, go thick to thin, tailor them up to a nice point, let them overlap here and there, and really get some contour in his face and his muscles. Yeah, I like that coming to a point there. Again, you get little grimace lines here and there. But with a few amount of lines, we can really show a lot of expression. Real dynamic character. Like that hard hook nose. That's an important line right there. So if I went over that, it's showing that the sides of his nose are a little bit behind the front of his nose. I'll bring that eye back just a little more. This is a pretty important line too, right there by the eye. There's one thing I forgot, and that's, I forgot that he has a goatee. Little beard, little double beard. So I am going to leave that open there. And when I'm done here, I'm going to add in that little goatee. Push this line. Add a little thickness to it. A little thickness to it right there. Right, that's okay. I kind of like that. And then follow this tooth line up. Arc. See how we didn't quite meet it there? That's okay. A little bit of character in your line is not always bad. I like a little stronger forehead. The key is to never be intimidated by a blank page. Just dig in, dive in, make mistakes, figure it out along the way. Add some character lines here and there. That line's kind of nice because it tells me that his head isn't like a ball. It's like flat on the side and then rounds to the front, right? Okay, so I'm going to go back to my pencil because I forgot that I wanted to do a goatee. Again, we don't want the goatee to just live here inside the collar. Let's let it come out. Have some character to it, right? There we go. Give it some dimension. Right. Okay. I think I'm pretty much done. Now I'm going to take I'm going to go even thicker this time with just a standard Sharpie, but a thicker stroke. All right, and just be smooth, be relaxed. If you get one that goes off, just kind of let it go off like that. Just adds a little character to collar, extra lines, showing dimension. Kind of like my outside lines to be thicker than the inside lines. Bolder. Yeah, like that. And we are just doing more of a line art style drawing at this point. If you wanted to take it to the next step and color it, you certainly can. At that point, you'd want to choose a light source. You'd want the light to come in from one direction or below or above, and at that point you would decide where you're going to add your shadows and highlights. This is really just kind of a line art at this point. So I like my outside lines to be a little thicker. I might even add some shadow in here at this point. Almost always going to have shadow under his neck. Probably shadow down here, almost always. Okay. Let's leave a little bit of highlight there. Same thing here. I kind of like that. This is really far away. So this is pretty decent at this point. If I wanted to go and color it, we could do that at this point. But we did start very light, moved up to like a very fine pen or marker, and then came in at the end with a thicker marker. And if I knew that I was going to light this from this side, I could go ahead and say, yeah, that's going to be a huge shadow right here. Right? And that's really going to push that head forward. The fact that he has this shadow way under his neck. The head's way in front of the neck at this point. And then you might add a shadow there, really trying to round out those teeth. Yeah, it's pretty decent. So here's our little Erie red devil in a sketch form. The next thing you could do is take it to the computer. If you wanted to scan that into a computer and really clean up those lines and color it, take it to the next level. All right, thanks.